Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 9, I think, of ChatLoopBackOff. This is a program that dives deep into the realms of the cloud native landscape and messes around with our projects, our technologies, and kind of, just here to learn. If we've never met before, pleasure to meet you. Thank you for joining me today. I am your host, Jeffrey Sica, but many people in the community already know me as Jiffy. I'm thrilled to have you here and join us for today's episode where we're going to focus on OpenFeature, which is a project in the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. The interesting thing is, I don't know offhand whether they are in incubating or not. I feel like are. They joined incubating. Yay! I remember things. They joined end of last year. That's why it's fresh in my mind. If you've never tuned into this live stream, welcome. Hopefully my little tangent kind of tells you what you're in for. This live stream is a sibling to the similarly named ClashLoopBackOff, which is an event that has been a feature in the last few KubeCons. In that one, I pit two community members against each other to accomplish a technical challenge of my choosing, and it's usually fun and silly random antics. It's meant to be laid back for the audience and just, kind of general fun where we all get to, watch people tackle something and maybe learn. But this stream is a bit more like a choose your own adventure. The idea behind this one is I will pick a topic or a project and then learn it live. I have near no background or information. I may have, some preconceived notions, and then we get to either validate them or, prove myself wrong. Doing that, really, we just hope that, you walk away having learned something new, because I am definitely going to be learning something new, and, we can do it together. During the live stream, please feel free to drop questions in chat. I'll get to as many as possible. Like I said, we're here to learn together. So if you know the answer to something and I'm stuck on it, feel free to speak up and let me know, or, have me try something. This is hopefully going to be interactive. All of that said, this is an official CNCF live stream. It is subject to the CNCF Code of Conduct. Please don't add anything to the chat or ask questions that would violate the Code of Conduct. Please respect myself, other people that are watching, and people that may watch on YouTube later on. Leading into that, this video will be put on our YouTube channel afterwards. So folks, if you couldn't make the live stream, you can still try and learn along with us, just asynchronously. Before we get going, two quick pieces of information that are actually very similar to what Jeremy mentioned last week. Kubernetes 1.30 is here. It is live. It is Kubernetes, which is meant to honor all of our fellow friends that keep the internet going. Of the what is it? Furry variety. It looks like a stellar release. Kat did an amazing job, and I love all of the hype and comments around it and people going, "Excuse me?" But yes, that's true. Kubernetes. Also, next up, just another CFP reminder for KubeCon NA. If you are interested in speaking in Salt Lake City in November, please feel free to submit a CFP. What is it? It will close Sunday, June 9th, so you've got some time, but please take it from me, you do not want to wait until the last minute. It feels like every time internally we're looking at the CFP numbers, it's kind of like the steady state, and then the last 24 hours, it's like 95% of the CFPs. If you get it in early, it is so much easier mentally on yourself. All right, with all of that out of the way, let's get right into OpenFeature. And let me share my screen, get nice and cozy. Make sure that VS Code is primed. Share screen. Entire screen, screen one. Ba-boom. Thank you, Magical Wizard in the background. Everything that I will do, any notes that I take and whatnot, as usual, I will add it to the CLBO repo in the CNCF, and commands and code that I run will also be there as well, just so we can, kind of repeat the process of everything. Also, I need to update this with Paris's Clash Loop info. but that's neither here nor there. I have created a new folder for today's episode. It is April 18th, and let's get to let's get going. Okay, new file, readme.md. There we go. Because I am lazy, let's kind of copy this format over from my Lima episode and update it really quick. I know that this is potentially boring to many, but it is going to save me time and it will make the notes consistent. So let's talk about OpenFeature. I have, like I said, preconceived notions about a bunch of projects. That's just because I've been in the cloud native ecosystem, in the space. I kind of pay attention to projects. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm an expert in any of them. So what is OpenFeature? Let's talk about that. Oh, that is so cute. Thank you, Copilot. I'm pretty sure OpenFeature is not a way to spin up QEMU images. Copilot definitely has its own opinions. Let's kind of do a glance through their docs. They're getting started. And then let's try and find some different, let's say, feature flag examples in the wild. Okay, so what is OpenFeature? Realistically, let me make this a little bit bigger. Actually, there we go. Copilot is doing the right thing for once. I'm going to close my eyes actually, and I'm not going to try and say what it said. So, what is OpenFeature? Let's actually talk about what a feature flag is. When you are, and this kind of only really applies, in my opinion, to medium to larger size applications or microservices. When you get to a certain point, when you are developing code, or developing applications, you may or may not want to be able to, on the fly, toggle a certain feature on or off. A good example would, let's use Twitter for a good example. Early on, they were shipping new features, things like DMs, things like being able to like or dislike something. Again, these are new features way back in the day. And if one of these different types of features may have caused the entire system to become unstable, they need to remove that ASAP to try and stabilize the system. Well, when you are typically thinking about that in application lifecycle, that's maybe reverting a commit, that or trying to do a quick fix to just remove, say, the front end aspect of that, and then you have to then ship out code, and then depending on your environment, shipping out code is not an immediate thing that happens. It can maybe have to go through CI, have to go through QA, and suddenly you're 2 hours into something where you're just trying to revert code that had shipped. Feature flags are a way where you can define, geez, this is almost like the name is a good indicator, a way to define features in your application and then be able to toggle them on or off without having to ship code. How close was I? I was really trying not to look at the screen. OpenFeature is a feature flagging service that allows you to control the release of features in your application. It allows you to control the release of features in your application by enabling or disabling them at runtime without deploying new code. Interesting. So let's actually see what OpenFeature actually thinks they are. Standardizing feature flags for everyone. Beautiful. Well, what is a feature flag? Let's see how close I am. Software development technique allowing teams to enable or disable the change in behavior of certain features or code paths in a product without modifying source code. Well, I think that was pretty good. Hello. Oh, Copilot, you're making me mad. And then what is OpenFeature? An open specific. Okay, so this is technically a specification, a spec. Provides vendor agnostic, community driven API. Beautiful. Not trying to duplicate this, but I kind of want to follow this pattern right now. So why would you do that? Oh my God, I'm actually going to turn this off for now. So why would you want to do this? Well, going back to the Twitter example, if you were shipping new features, or say you were defining alpha features or beta features, you might want to disable them for the stability of the whole application or system, but still keep them around and maybe only enable them for a certain subset of people. By doing this with feature flags, it just gives you a lot more flexibility than having to, again, modify code and ship code and then build in these pathways for behaviors. Instead, it's all kind of baked into using whatever you are using to manage, ship, and query these feature flags. So in a sense, and I'm going to probably upset people, this is just another database in your application or data store where you can define features and then query against them, and also, I'm assuming, query who has access to them. So why OpenFeature? It is a vendor agnostic way to... I thought I disabled you. Boom. Ooh, we should probably update that. Cool. So why standardize? Well, honestly, where we can standardize certain behaviors, it makes the most sense. It's kind of why Kubernetes, OTel, Prometheus, all these different projects are coming up and becoming de facto standards. An analogy that I like to use, and some people may get it, some won't. If you are a Formula One fan, in Formula One, it's a car race. The pit, the area where a lot of the engineers are sitting around, they all have radios and they radio to the car. Well, do you think that the Formula One teams actually want to pay attention or develop or design or manage any sort of radio system? Absolutely not. Like that that's not where they want to compete. They want to compete with their race car and with their drivers. So where we can standardize certain things, we probably should. You don't want to compete against another company or another project by having a bespoke feature flag system. That makes no sense. You want to focus more on what your actual product or project is, not certain things behind the scenes that no one else besides your developers necessarily are going to be focused on. So this makes sense. I love seeing one SDK any backend. I love seeing they have focused significantly on supporting as many languages as possible. Love it. So let's look at their docs. Let's see another description. Like, oh, this is actually even a better description of what a feature flag is, and more specifically, how it's usually run. So I said earlier, there is a feature flag feature flags are kind of like a data store that you're querying, and this kind of backs this up to an extent. So you would have a service that you are querying from within your application. The feature flagging client is simply the SDK that you are tying into your application, and then you are defining and managing feature flags externally in this service. Flags are us, OpenFeature provider. I love it. For those that want to mess around with this looks like some of the cleanest documentation. Please tell me there is a getting started. Because one of the things I always kind of like to do is a getting started. That is usually the tutorials. Tutorials are the best way to mess around with stuff. One of the best ways that I learn, or one of my favorite ways to learn, is I'll just find they're getting started and kind of go to town. And then from getting started guides, usually you can expand things out a little bit. I would prefer not to use JavaScript right now. I think I want to use Go. So let me skim through this really quick. Basic knowledge of Go, Go 1.17 or later, got that. Docker is installed. So we're going to create a new Go project, set up what looks like a simple HTTP application that's just going to serve JSON. Once we are sure that is running, we can then add OpenFeature into our little Hello World application. It'll have us test it. Then it looks like we define. Yes, so we are going to define our flags in a JSON file. It looks like we spin up that flag server. Let me pop back over to these docs. We spin up our flagging, feature flagging service, pass it this JSON file. Don't worry, we're going to go through all this together. And then we update our main.go to then talk to that feature flagging service. This seems pretty straightforward. So let's do it. I am not going to bother. Am I? Have I done it in previous episodes? Have I created subfolders? Let's do it. Sure, go start. Let's pop open our terminal. As usual, I will praise George for having the best operating system out there. Hashtag Project Bluefin. Okay, so once we are in Go Start, 2024, ChatLoopBackOff 2024, 418, Go Start. Let me blow this up, and then I can bounce between it better. So go mod init, Go Start. Just going to init some Go mods. Cool, that should have created a Go mod file. And then let's create the main.go. So again, this looks like it is going to default message of hello. It's using, I have actually never heard of this open source library. I assume it's like an HTTP MUX thing. HTTP framework, written in Golang, Martini-like API. So it goes fast. I like that. Okay, where were we? Boom. So main function, initialize gin. The /hello endpoint should just respond JSON hello. Okay. Fail. Main.go. Boom. We need to go mod tidy. Downloads all the things. I have in my VS Code, because I do quite a bit of Go programming, things like Go tools automatically installed. So it'll essentially red is bad, green is good, just so people are aware. Having a nice and happy IDE is usually best. Definitely speeds things up. All right, so theoretically, and I'm not even going to look at the docs for this, if I do like a go run main.go, I should be able to hit localhost. I'm hoping it'll also give a port. Maybe it's just by default 80. A engine instance, running in debug mode. I am actually liking Gin already. This is turning into a completely different stream. Now I'm wanting to mess with Gin. Okay. So environment variable port is undefined. By default, it binds to 8080. So if we do localhost 8080, I'm doing this on purpose, 404 page not found. But if we do hello, which is one of the paths that we did set up, it responds with JSON and it just, spits out hello. So that's awesome. Pretty basic, but I think we're gonna start getting some cool things going. Ooh, I really like that. So interrupt, clean. Now let's go back to their docs. I just kind of go mod tidied already and then moved on. So now let's look at adding OpenFeature SDK. For those that aren't too familiar with Go mod and like Go mod tidy, you define imports at the top of a Go file. And if you do in your terminal Go mod tidy, it'll look at all the Go files that you have and then try and resolve all the dependencies and download them if you don't have them. So like when I copy all of this over, because I'm just going to copy all of it over really, and apparently delete those 2 lines, it's going to be very angry because I don't have OpenFeature downloaded and set in the Go mod file. So let's do that. And it can tell that we kind of don't need these 2 things. Boom, boom, boom. Now just kind of pointing some things out. What did I forget to delete? I just want to make sure I'm not. So it only had us deleting these 2, and it had everything else being added. That's what's missing. Am I crazy? Whoop, sorry, bouncing around. Oh, it's probably not just doing all of it. Maybe that should be updated with their, updated in their docs. So let's pop over here really quick. I see Chris asking, does this only work with Go or does it work with other programming languages? My friend, have I got news for you. This was something that I covered pretty early on, but they support a lot of things. So .NET Go, Java, Node, PHP, Python. They also have like OS specific clients. They support quite a wide range of things. So chances are, if you're writing it in one of these languages, it's going to be a very clean experience, theoretically. Don't take my word for it. You need to know I have never done this before. This is kind of the point of the stream. Okay, so where were we? My IDE is very angry that OpenFeature is not a resolved dependency, can't import it. So yet again, we do a go mod tidy. Snags OpenFeature. No Rust or Zig. You're getting me in my ADD brain right now. OpenFeature GitHub. Thank you. Do they, by chance, have an open issue for it? So it looks like there might actually be a Rust implementation. Let me actually get through this getting started, and then let's dive into that more. I kind of need to zone in. All right, so I did my go mod tidy. Everything's green. Everything is happy, and we should actually, let's walk through this code now. I didn't actually do that. So OpenFeature, we're creating a new OpenFeature client called the Go Start app. We're initializing Gin as our HTTP server. Hello. We are defining a welcome message, or we're trying to get the Boolean value of welcome message from OpenFeature. If welcome message is true, then we output new welcome message, which is, hey, this is OpenFeature enabled. Else we just return hello. Add a little bit of flair to it. So before running this, I am going to guess that this is going to return OpenFeature ain't working yet because it's trying to connect to the client's trying to connect to an OpenFeature server that does not exist. See how right I am. Computer. There we go. OpenFeature ain't working yet. Yay! It is predictable. How does this compare to Launch Darkly or CloudBees feature flags? That's a good question. I have no idea. Like I said, I have not messed with OpenFeature. This is one of the things that I have not much experience in. If I had to guess, this is just an open source implementation of these. I would also imagine that SDKs, client-side SDKs. So it looks like Darkly and CloudBees have very different client targets. And they do have more support for more languages. But I am curious if their docs, the OpenFeature docs, are just out of date. Because looking here, yeah. Anyways, back to this. Okay, so we have an application. OpenFeature isn't working yet because we have not actually defined any feature flags, and we don't have the flag service running yet. So let's do that. So just at a glance, it looks like the flag service expects JSON with flags, and then we define a flag name. We define different, I guess, states. We define a default state, and then I'm assuming we either enable or disable the flag itself here. Actually, let's start with that. So let's create flags, flag.json. Let's copy this. And this is why we need a Docker. Okay, so it's going to run an instance of flag.d, which is part of OpenFeature itself, and then we pass in, oh, got it, and we pass in this file. I'll create a new terminal to run that. Oh my God, am I going to pull a Jeremy where my instance of Docker isn't working? Ooh. I'm going to have to message Jeremy after this. So I think it was 1 or 2 episodes ago, Jeremy ran into a similar issue where his instance of Docker was busted and he spent like 20 minutes trying to debug it. And that's what we get to do. Containerd is dead. Could just use Podman. Hmm? Uh-oh. Okay, so starting flag sync, starting file path sync. No such file or directory. Oh, that's why. That would be why. We're currently only in CLBO. We need to get to 20. ChatLoopBackOff 2024-04. Cool. So now that we run this, boom, cool. It mapped the volume incorrectly. It looks like flag D is running, and it is running on port 8016. Don't know whether I should expect that or not. Okay, so there is still more that we have to change in the application. So now we pass it flag D, and then we set the provider and wait. Do we get to set the location for flag D? Like, does it know where to go, or is it just assuming that it's going to be running on localhost? That is a question I will ask in a second. Okay, so on the plus side in this one, this is the complete main one, so we can just kind of pop this out. But here are the changes. We set the flag D as the open feature provider, and then we just import that. So let's just lazy copy, make you smaller. Get rid of that, boom. Is that true? Open feature, go SDK, package open feature. Pop over here again. There it goes. Okay, so we were missing more things. Did it say to do that and I just missed it? Yeah. Okay, so IDE is angry. Package open feature provides global access to the open feature. Follow the IDE's instructions and things will be okay. So it looks like that would have worked, but that was an out of date import. All right. Oh, it missed my my thing. So theoretically, go run main.go. Wow, I just typed main dog. So now theoretically, we have our feature flag service running. This is set to try and connect to a new provider. I'm assuming if there is no new provider, or if there is no host provided to it, it's going to try and connect locally. Theoretically, if it fails, it'll at least log and then die. Might not even get to my drama. Well, let's give it a shot. It got to my drama. Hello feature or OpenFeature is dead. Oh God, why? So if we look at the logs, starting feature sync, starting file path. Okay, so that's flag D. What does it say over here? Does it say anything? No. Metrics and probes listening at 8014. Hold up. Okay, so it is doing 8013. We do pass that in via Podman. Okay, so that is at least returning something. I'm not worried about networking. Let's see what I missed. Oh. Oh. This is again me going a little too fast. So theoretically, this is not actually returning or this isn't like OpenFeature is broken. This is OpenFeature says no. So right. So if welcome message is true, then yes. If not, no. So let's restart that. Oh, sorry. This is even more fun. Okay, so I killed Podman. I killed Flag D. I should have ended that. So now we need to restart. Sorry. Flag D. Flag D is now running. And now we go over here. And our site is working. And then OpenFeature says no. And so theoretically, if we say the default variant is yes, or is on, does flag D notice it? Yes, it does. It has resynced. We refresh. It works. So, initial thoughts. Functionally, this is exactly what I am expecting. Functionally, this is good. I am curious, and we're going to go look really quick. Okay, this is modifying a JSON file, and then flag D just serves like a Boolean yes, no, depending on the feature flag. Is there a better interface to define these feature flags? It's question one. Is it always going to be a JSON file, or is there some way to have like an actual backing data store? Would be my second question. But fundamentally, this is a feature flag, a very, very basic thing. But again, think about Twitter. If somehow the like or retweet feature is causing massive issues, instead of having to ship an entire version of the application with that disabled, you have that as just a defined feature that you can flip a switch, a figurative switch, and I guess literal switch, and disable those features within Twitter. And then, okay, those are disabled. Now we can try and debug what the problem was without having to make crazy code changes. This is also another way of thinking about it. By defining these types of controls, the software engineers that wrote these features do not need to be contacted if there is a major problem and they need to be disabled. You can give these types of controls to SREs and the actual support folks so that, oh, there is a massive problem, you can disable it and then give engineering plenty of time to try and work on it without compromising the rest of the application. So we pop back over to docs. I am curious about, is the JSON file the only way to define it, or is there another backing data store that you can use? I mean, the JSON file is better than nothing. It's just not the experience that I would want. I'm sorry if I'm scrolling through this a lot. I'm looking for very specific things. Ooh. Document contains auxiliary utilities provided by the SDK. So there's an in-memory provider. I'm assuming that's just to do E2E testing. Evaluation feature contains tests. Okay, so they use Gherkin for their E2E testing. We're going deep. I guess a simple answer to this is to look at flag D. What is flag D written in? Looks like Go. What was the name of that file? It's a little bigger. So, flag D, flags, flag D JSON. Well, I'm curious. Start help. Management port, exporter. Okay, so side note, Prometheus can scrape it. That's always good to see. Set a sync provider URI to read data from. This can be a file path. Okay, there we go. That's what I was hoping for. I actually should have thought about that because you set URI. So you can set a URL, whether it's HTTP or gRPC, that serves the JSON file. Chris, does the app require a restart after a flag change? No, it does not. And I can demonstrate that really quick now that I kind of scratched that itch a little more. So, good example. Right now, default variant is off. Let me kind of spin all this back down. And now let me... So I'll spin up my instance of flag D. And then I'll start my application again. back to my application again, it's going to try and get a Boolean value from OpenFeature. If welcome message is true, it will output, hello, welcome to our blah, blah, blah. If false, or yeah, if not true, it should just say OpenFeature says no. Right now, OpenFeature should say no, because the default flag is set to off. But if I set this to on, and actually let me show this log here, theoretically, when I save this, flag D is going to notice that the data has changed, and it'll should log that it's updated. So let's see if I'm right or wrong here. Save. Cool. So it detected a file path event. I'm curious if it does like a periodic sync if you provide an HTTP endpoint. But point is, we've updated this to on, so the default now should be on. And if we go over here and force refresh, we have an OpenFeature enabled website. So no, the whole point of this is there is no requirement to, I keep saying, ship code, but also there's nothing to restart. It is updating a single field in essentially a database or a data store, and then flag D will be the thing serving the application information. I should rephrase that. When your website or application goes to do a thing, whether it's rendering a new instance of the page or whether it's attempting to, I don't know, serve up a REST request, in the middle of that, it will quickly ping OpenFeature or flag D and go, hey, does this feature exist? Yes, no, or is this feature good? Yes, no. And then it will change its behavior based on that. And so all you're doing is modifying the data serving the feature flag server, and then your application, which is curious whether something is good, or I should say true or false in the feature flag, is just hitting that service, but you're making a single data change over here. I'm probably explaining that poorly. Please let me know if it makes sense. But finding that out, finding out that you can just serve a provider. So read data from file path, URL, or a feature flag custom resource. Wait, can you provide multiple? When flag keys are duplicated across multiple providers, they merge priority. If you're using a file path, flag D only supports YAML.yaml. Yeah, JSON extensions. I want to find an example of using using like a remote data thing. Cloud native flags with the OpenFeature operator. Is this it? Is this already the thing that I'm looking at? Okay, in tutorial, we're gonna see how to leverage flag D and OpenFeature operator to enable cloud native self-hosted feature flags in your Kubernetes cluster. OpenFeature Operator is a Kubernetes-flavored solution for adding flag D to any relevant workloads. It parses Kubernetes spec files and adds flag D associated objects to it. Really? Okay, so this is using kind. We have to install cert manager because it is using webhooks. For those that don't know, internally in a Kubernetes, when you're using webhooks, like admission webhooks or mutating webhooks, they do still expect it to be served via HTTPS. It's kind of a fun thing to deal with, but it makes sense. So create a namespace, install the operator, and okay, so then we deploy a workload. Is this just deploying OpenFeature? Oh, I really just wanted to look at it. What? Oh. Screw it. Okay, so create a new namespace, OpenFeature operator, creates a CRD. Okay, that's actually going to be a lot more than we have time for. The point is, this looks very, very cloud native-y. This looks baked and made for Kubernetes itself. So forward to the service, if you're not using kind, skip. I might come back to this again. Experiment with OpenFeature. So you can see a fictitious app, the demo UI. This demo will get flag definitions from the CRDs. Source type is feature flag. So you would be defining feature flags as CRDs that flag D is then using and then serving internally to your application. Is that right? Do I have time to do this? Is kind working? Because clearly my Docker instance wasn't kind. Bleh. Oh, that's going to be fun to debug later. Crap. Oh well. I think this might be where we leave it. So let's take a back look, or wow, I can't even speak right now. Let's take a look at our notes again. We did not get to feature flag examples in the wild, but we did find out is OpenFeature native Kubernetes support. And in that, it looks like you can have a CRD that defines feature flags and serves to internal apps. In the getting started, what we did, we created a basic Go app. We spun up flag-D via Podman. And then what we did was we connected the two with a minor code change. And then lastly, defined the actual feature flags we wanted to serve. And then to do, I want to PR, create an issue to update the doc so that's more copyable. The other thing that I want to do is revisit more cloud native example, and then I want to link to this. Flags as CRDs. Cool, cool. I think that's where I'm going to leave it because if I go any further, it's going to be more than an hour, and I try not to do that. So, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you those that were in chat asking questions. Feel free to continue asking questions. You can always reach out to me. I am Gphy usually on all the things, including CNCF Slack and on Twitter. I think, and I'm actually going to look this up, next week we have a new host, so please be nice to him. It should be Mafi, and he is going to be diving into open telemetry. So it'll be at a slightly different time. I think we're doing an hour earlier to accommodate, but yeah, hopefully you all had fun. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully some of you are going to actually, mess around with OpenFeature. I actually can think of a couple things that I could personally use it for, believe it or not. But that's because I'm weird and I have a home lab that I do weird things on. So thank you all. Have a wonderful Thursday, and I will talk to you all later.